My name is Jacob Crowe, and welcome to the Crow's Perch. In today's story, we're going to find out what happens when half of your party are comprised of edgelords. You know the type. Silent, brooding,
always tries to find a way to sneak away from the party, never agrees with their decisions. A man who plays by his own rules, and tries so painfully hard to be cool that he ends up pissing off the entire party and ends up making himself look like a jackass.
Yeah, we're covering one of those today. So without further ado, let's gather up a murder and get right into the story. So, this story was thankfully a short experience due to the edgelord not being in the campaign for more than 2 sessions. But with the way I write things, this post is probably going to end up long anyway. Appreciate the honesty, OP. However, I think it's an interesting one because it involved 2 edgelords, both being in the party at the same time. Kinda. So, we were running an online short-term 5e game. We are currently between campaigns, and had a new player join our Discord server and show interest in playing with us. We figured a short campaign of about 10 sessions was a perfect way to get acquainted. And just a little advice for you new DMs out there, please do more of this. Not everyone wants to be in your 10-year-long campaign for their first game. I'm sorry. Hashtag D&D hot take. Things were made very clear from the start that this would pretty much be a comedy campaign, as our last campaign had a very dramatic and emotional finale, and we wanted to cut loose for a bit. It's also worth noting that this player is new to our group, but not to tabletops or even D&D. They claimed quite a bit of experience under their belt. And based on how they built their character and knew the rules well, I'm inclined to believe them. I mention this only because it seems to be unbelievable later. There were 5 of us in total. Our DM, who I hadn't seen DM before, but they were a great player and actually turned out to be really good, throwing themselves into every character and 100% committing to the terrible but incredibly entertaining character voices. Me, playing Skeebles, a goblin cavalier fighter who rode on the back of a blink dog. The blink dog was quite a coward and would occasionally teleport out of danger, leaving the rider behind. I love this. My friend, playing Oliver, was insistent on the pronunciation Olivier, a high elf wild magic barbarian who believed themselves to be a powerful mage like the rest of their family. Our former DM, playing Black Cane, a drow assassin rogue who wore a dark cloak and spent most of their time brooding. We were surprised by this due to the DM's nature and the comedic setting. We had never seen them play a PC either, so there was some doubt about whether or not this is how they normally played. Still, they had been an excellent DM, so we waited to see. The new player, on the other hand, we knew nothing about, but still seemed to have hit the cliché perfectly. They were playing Denic Moors, which is literally Latin for long death, a fallen Aasimar grave cleric who was an initiate in a death cult, sent to hone their skills before becoming a fully fledged member. I think that they played a cleric because we mentioned that a healer would be nice, but I don't think they ever did any actual healing. Despite our trepidation, we were excited to see what the DM turned player and new player had to offer. Session 1 begins, and we have been hired by a king to commit accounting fraud. Ah, yes, the most grave crime within the kingdom. Tax fraud. Gods have mercy on your penniless soul. The concept was that dragons were attracted to gold, so accountancy was an important role in any kingdom, making sure too much gold is never stockpiled at the same place. Our job was to destabilize a kingdom by sneaking gold into their royal vault. A reverse bank heist, if you will. Cue the Ocean's 11 soundtrack. It was important to make sure no one knew what we did, or they would remove the gold before the dragon arrived. Therefore, we made a plan to make the heist look like a botched assassination attempt on the queen. On the way there, we talked a little. Oliver and Skeebles became good friends quickly, bonding over stories of great battle that they were both lying through their teeth about and trying to one-up each other. Donic was silent, answering any attempts to talk to her with dismissive grunts or one-word answers. Now all she needs to do is pull out a katana and talk about nihilism. Oh, we're back at the checklist. Kane also seemed quiet, but eventually talked. In fact, once we spoke to them, they began to talk way too much. They opened up about their horribly complex and ridiculously tragic backstory almost immediately, and how they only desire to get revenge on a comically long list of enemies. Me and my friend pretty quickly figured out that this was an ironic stereotype and played along, laughing as we did so. A particularly funny sequence was Kane talking about how they drank poison in small amounts to become immune. Oliver and Skeebles both demanded to see this trick, and with edgelord confidence, Kane downed the whole bottle of his own poison. He spent the next few hours throwing up and trying not to cry. Unsuccessfully. Surprise! He's not a real edgelord. I clickbaited you. Sorry. Oh, goddamn. Alright, boys, as the crow flies, video's over. Oh, wait. There's still one more edgelord. So, everything was good, mostly. New player was still not interacting, but we figured they were just getting their bearings and weren't yet comfortable with RP. Perfectly understandable. I won't get into the details of the heist much, but at some point we had to split up. Half of the group would fake the assassination, while the other half would deliver the gold below ground. Donick made their first real character decision and firmly insisted on being in the assassination team. Alright, no problem. Skeebles wanted to fight the Royal Guard, and so also chose to be in the assassination group. Kane was better at sneaking, and Oliver was convinced that their spells could help them break into the vault, so they went below. While the other two were sneaking their way in, Skeebles and Donick both had to force their way into the throne room and loudly shout a proclamation for the Queen's head. We get into fighting, and Skeebles focuses on kiting the very strong Royal Guard around. I wasn't trying to fight them, of course. We had no chance. But we needed to delay. Donick, on the other hand, had alternative ideas. Rather than helping, she allowed Skeebles to be a distraction as she rushed at the Queen. She used her Path of the Grave to give the Queen vulnerability, and then the next turn tried to cast Inflict Wounds on her. However, Queens have royal mages, who counterspelled it and began battling the cleric. Skeebles was getting ready to run soon, but wouldn't leave their companion behind. He kept shouting that it was time to go, and the plan had failed. Donick was not leaving. In fact, they weren't even fighting the mage. They were focused on trying to kill the Queen, exclusively, which led to the mage putting them down quickly. Skeebles ran in to help Donick, but got surrounded by the guard and abandoned by his dog, who ran out of the palace. That is not a good boy. We were captured. Now, that was dumb, sure, but it wasn't unsalvageable. We were only captured, and the actual gold delivery had worked without detection. Now our companions just needed to rescue us before we were forced to spill our secrets. Session 2 starts with Donick and Skeebles being placed in a dungeon below the palace. Skeebles' dog finds the others and manages to indicate that something has gone wrong. They use her sense of smell to locate them and sneak back into the palace again, making jokes about the security as they go. They locate us, and there's a rescue, which was fun, but I won't go into the details. Finally, we're out. Time to go back and report to the king of the opposing nation that it all worked. So, we're set to leave the city after a night's rest. That's when Donick disappears. As our characters sleep, Donick sneaks away, us all failing our perception rolls to notice. We awake to the news that the Queen was attacked again by the same assassin. This attempt apparently went even worse. Unsurprisingly, the would-be assassin was due to be executed at midday. Now, logically the crew should just abandon her. She's clearly a liability, and with an upcoming execution, it seems like the Queen wasn't bothering to interrogate her. But we didn't want to just abandon our new player, so we were struggling between what we wanted to happen as players and justifying it as characters. As we were discussing this, Donick's player speaks up and gets very angry. She demands to know why we won't save her. We ask why she ran back in again. She says, "Because you can just save me when I fail." We notice she doesn't seem like she regrets her actions and ask her if she plans to attack the Queen again if we rescue her. She answers with a yes. We ask her why. In the name of whatever death god she worships, she finds it so important to kill the Queen. She answers with, "I've been doing these swear cover-ups with bird puns." What's an S one? Okay, I got one. She answers with, "I shift you not, because bringing death is the essence of my life." We go, "Okay then, we're not gonna save you if you'll just get yourself killed intentionally." She says several unfavorable things that I'd rather not repeat, and promptly leaves the server, probably involving shifting. Thankfully, we didn't have to find a way to kill her character, since it was literally already scheduled. The party attends the execution out of amusement, and we make perhaps too many jokes. A particular favorite of mine is Olivier stating right after she's decapitated, "Oh, it looks like her death was the essence of her death as well." This is the worst French accent ever, I'm so sorry. The rest of the campaign was tons of fun, and we're setting up for the next long-term one. However, we have not forgotten our brave fallen companion, because bringing death is the essence of my life has become a staple in-joke of ours, and we often use it when we're asked for an explanation on just about anything. Let us all pour one out for the terrifying acolyte of death, with the total inability to read the room and understand that we were making fun of edgelords like her. Thanks for reading. A moment of silence for Donick the Small Death. May she rest forever in turmoil as she contemplates her dark and brooding backstory. Rest forever in darkness. Straight up, I wasn't expecting the cleric to be the edgelord of all people. This heist idea sounds amazing. And the goblin who rode Courage the Cowardly Blink Dog was a nice touch. I think I might run something similar to that heist in my next Blades in the Dark campaign. To user Lord Eldritch who posted this story, sounds like you have a really awesome campaign coming up, and I hope it goes well. Maybe with 50% less edge. And to my listeners, thank you for listening. And if you had any experience with edgelords, or create an edgelord character yourself, be sure to let me know about it in the comments down below. Until next time, as the crow flies,